Welcome to the Dull Edge. This is our podcast where we answer questions that nobody bothered asking us, but we want to answer them anyway. I'm Shay.
And I'm Bobby.
And today we are going to answer a question from a listener. So, this comes from my nephew, and he's epic. I love him. He came up to me this one day. He's like, "Hey, Shay, I got this question for you. If you want to fix all the problems in the world, and you had to choose one of the core subjects in high school, either history, math, science, or language, like ours is English, to have all students graduate high school with a master's in, which one would you choose in order to fix all those problems?"
Wait, so I have to pick one of those?
You have to pick one of those.
Oh, sack. I wrote down a list of other things that I would...
No.
Okay.
I want to know what that list is too, but those are the four subjects. He's like, so do you choose history, science, math, or in our case, English, but language if you're special?
Sure. What, so, do you want me to go first or do you want to?
Well, do you have an answer?
I do.
Go.
Okay, so I picked history, but I would want the class to be, like, obviously go through, teach them all the history, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then I would want there to be courses of, hey, see how this happened? This also happened yesterday. In this situation. Okay. Or, you know what I mean? Where, like, because they're always like, oh, sack, what is that? The history's bound to repeat itself. And to show, like, hey, this happened here, and this is basically when it happened in 1990. And then be like, see how this happens? So you need to be conscious of these things. Like, so then you can just, you know, whether it's your own life, because then you can, like, okay, when I was a kid, I friggin' kicked trees and that broke my foot. So now you learn, don't do that again.
Don't
you know, that stuff, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I would say that. I don't know, that was one of my,
was that your gut instinct, or did you, like, stop and think about it for a minute?
I think I just went through and was like, the math that I'm using now is fine. I'd be fine with that.
You don't need a master's degree
I don't
in
need a math. Yeah. Science would be cool to have, but I don't know that I need it in my life. I mean, I'm not that you should base your life off my life, but and then what was the other one? The
English.
Oh, English. Yeah. I mean, maybe if we lived other places where you heard more, I'm going to say more accented things where you start getting, like, slang more. I don't feel like there's a lot of slang here for me to, like, dig through.
Sure.
So
you're thinking of that as a technical thing, though, like nouns and stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's some things people say and you're like, I don't even know what you're saying to me.
See, when I think of, like, language class, I think of, like, language arts. I was the same with you on math. I'm like, it's good for a certain amount of people to have really, really good skills in math.
Right. You should know how to do, like, your tax. I mean, tax basic and, like,
you know, like, basic math, like grocery store math.
What do you give freaking cash people? I don't even think of any of the words. Tips.
We can all figure it doesn't take a master's degree to do tips.
No, frick.
It's okay, it's late.
Oh my gosh.
So I agreed with you on math.
Yes.
Even though my husband makes his living off of
math.
No,
for sure.
You know,
excel in it if you want
but
to.
I don't need a master's in math, right? And certainly, if everyone had a master's in math, it's not going to fix the world's problems.
Sure.
Right? Okay, so I agreed with you there. That was the first one to go.
Yeah.
Science was second for me to go as well.
Okay.
I was like, no, okay, like...
We're not pooping on these, by the way. Again, learn some.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
Like, but if you graduate with your basic high school of math, like not a master's, just basic high school of math, you're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I've gotten this far.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I took one science class in college and didn't need it. Have never used it except for to tell people not to take that class. That's it.
And then she became a secretary.
And then I became an awesome secretary. We cannot forget
Is this why you're going to take us right into language? Is your
yes.
number one?
Yes. But the thing is I love history, and that was my gut instinct too, was for history. I was like, if we don't understand where we came from, how can we plot where we're going? Right. But then I thought that you can't understand any of these topics unless you first understand your language and how to use it.
Okay.
Because,
do you have an example?
Yeah.
Because I speak every day and it goes pretty good.
Yeah. But, like, there's semantics in your language, and there's also understanding, like, context and being able to ferret out sneakiness or something.
Do you mean, like, talking to people in certain ways?
Well, yeah, not just intonation, though, but how language can be used to manipulate other people. So, like, no history ever happened without someone talking someone else into something.
It's like right? Abraham Lincoln, where he did, and I don't know if I remember this right. Maybe I'm going to be bad. I'm not good at history.
Go ahead.
Where he said, okay, there's no more slaves, and I remember my
The
history teacher.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened. That was real.
Yes.
But the way my history teacher in college told it, he basically like around towned it, where he's like, there's no more slaves in the North or something like that, and in which like it was, because it was already happening, but then it just like worked in a way. I freaking wish I could remember, but like,
yeah,
that's what it makes me think of, is where if he wasn't good at talking, then he probably wouldn't have been able to do as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, well, and like if you look at like the really important courses that even our modern politicians or even like aristocratic families all around the world, when they go to their fancy highfalutin colleges, they actually take a course called rhetoric, where they learn how to manipulate the language that they're speaking in to convince other people to their point of view.
Yeah.
And now, can you imagine if every single person was taught that master's level of rhetoric? No one would ever be able to hoodwink us ever again.
No one would trust anyone else.
Well, yeah, I mean,
everyone would be like,
true too.
no trust.
I know.
You
like,
sound too vague to me, too sus.
That's exactly
every
why I
single
feel like
person,
that.
I'd be like,
yeah. But then the other thing too is I've seen so many people that they've been reading something and they don't understand it at all.
Oh,
like
yeah.
even dumb stuff, like even stuff as simple as like comic strips.
Oh,
and
no.
they don't get the joke because they don't either understand parallels or they don't understand sarcasm or they're missing something.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm like, you're missing life.
Dude, the sarcasm thing lately has been getting out something like really poopy, and I'll be like, nice. You know, like obviously it's not nice.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's not nice. And I'm like, I
know.
know. Like, I said it even super sarcastically. It wasn't, I didn't even say it flatline or anything.
Did you miss the snark?
Yeah, like smiling after, being like, ha ha. Yeah, so no, totally, that makes sense. All right.
But like, okay, anyway. But then the problem, it kills me though. But the problem is that if you understand your language and how to use it properly, you can understand history. In fact, I argue you can't understand history as well as you need to unless you understand your language first.
Because you need to know where things come from.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Because sometimes stuff in like the books, like in Pride and Prejudice from last season, they'll say stuff and you'll be like, I don't know.
Understand what that means.
And you usually just skip over it and you hope that you'll be able to figure it out later. But if you just knew where that was coming from, you would just be set.
Yeah.
All right.
See, so for me it was language, but it kills me because I'm like I love history so much and I wanted it to be history, but I'm like, no, it's gotta be language. Yeah. You have to understand it first before you can understand other things. Anyway, so I went with English.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
My side thing was apparently because I didn't get the prompt or whatever. I just was like, you know what I want people to learn is I want people to go through and be like, you have to get hired at McDonald's.
Oh, wouldn't
or
that be
a grocery
good?
store or something like that.
Service industry.
Low
level service industry. Like janitor.
Yes.
Not that sounds bad.
No.
I say low level, but I mean like entry level.
The ones where you have to deal with the people that don't know language, that freaking come in and they're like, I said this, and you're like, I gave you that, and they're like, no, you did not, and you're like, okay, and that's all you can do is okay.
Because if I freak out at you, I lose my job.
Yeah, exactly. That you cannot argue with them because they're just gonna come back with you with illogical stuff, and you're just gonna have to like not punch them in the face.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
I think everyone should have to work a job like that.
Yes, working in retail right now for sure is like, I wish that you worked my job. I got an email from a dude that the other day just being like ripping on us because you're like, you are trying to reinvent the wheel and I'm like, I cannot send you paint legally through the mail without these items. And they're like, just put it in a different box. And I'm like,
can't do it.
I don't like you. But you can't say that. So no, that was my other thing, was like some sort of
service industry
something that you have to deal with the public.
Amen
face to face, not
sure.
emails, not from home. You have to look them in the face and they have to see you. Yep.
Bonus course I would add to that.
Yeah.
You have to work with old people.
Oh no.
Like a year of like hospice care.
Oh gosh, that would be a struggle.
It would be, but think about the compassion that you would hopefully develop.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing if you could connect young people, like right when they're finishing up forming their brain, if you could connect them to somebody old that has perspective, right? Hopefully, like even awful people that you have to care for, that you're just like, hey, you're a human and you're a terrible one and you're dying and I now have to deal with you, but that would still give people so much perspective.
Plus, it would make it less awkward for other situations, like, because a lot of the time you're like, I don't know how to deal with you because you're old,
Right.
or because you can't hear me, or because of whatever reason.
Right.
And so if you're in there a lot, then you're just like, all right,
Yeah.
well, this is another day.
I also think, though, it would give you a perspective of how not to waste your life, because now you've seen the end of it
Mhm.
intimately. You know what that's going to look like for you.
Yeah.
So don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Like,
Don't
you
waste
only
your
have-
time.
Yeah, you've only got so many years left. Do it
my
right.
gosh.
Do it right.
Freaking.
Anyway, interesting.
Eee.
Yeah. Do you really think it would fix all the problems, though? Those
No,
three,
I don't.
No?
I think another problem would come up. There's always, because people would fix it one way, and then you just have those people that are like,
There'd be too
I
many
don't
smart
wanna-
people running around.
yeah, exactly. There would be so many, like, people would be ruining other people's lives behind their backs even more than it already is, and you would just be smart enough to know it, because a lot of us, all of us are just like, I just don't want to look at the government, and you
Yeah.
just like, meh.
And you just don't look.
Yeah, you just don't look because you know they're just crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know anything could ever fix every problem, but I think
No.
it would help.
Oh yeah, it would. At least you would like would know them coming in,
Yeah.
where it would at least understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Instead of just people swinging for random bits
Yeah.
that they misunderstood in the beginning. Ew.
Anyway, I thought that was a really good question.
No, it was. How old is your nephew?
He's 19.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
So
Very
he-
good.
he-
Did
that
he
was-
give his answer?
He did, and he also agreed with me. He thought it was in
Is-
English too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
And he said the same like stuff.
no,
Or-
he
or-
had other thought processes. Actually, I believe this was part of his senior English project,
Oh yeah.
where they were asked this question and they had to answer it intelligently.
Okay.
So,
they can just
that's
be
why he
like
asked me.
math.
Yeah.
Smart.
Mod. No. Anyway, I thought that was a
Equal
really good
sign.
question for someone, just
No,
graduating high school,
that's
thinking about
amazing.
life.
Yeah.
I wish my English teachers had asked me that. That would have been a good essay.
Do you know what he's gonna be when he grows up?
Oh no, I did. His little brother wants to be an airline pilot, which I think is pretty cool.
That is cool.
And he has another brother that's an accountant and one that's going into the medical field. So they're
Wow.
super smart
I
over
hope
in that
he's
family.
a grocery store attendant.
He's already done that.
I
He worked
I don't
for
mean
a
that.
cookie store.
I don't mean that. You're gonna be something great.
No, he's
But
fantastic. The whole family's awesome.
You always have that one person that's like, I work at Lowe's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm that person, so I'm not pooping on you. I'm that person.
It's
Frick.
like, I've never had a real job.
You got a secretary degree.
I did, but I worked for insurance. That's dumb.
That's
I
something.
got paid. Anyway,
As
doesn't
long as
matter.
you helped people.
No.
Anyways.
There you go. I'm curious to know what other people think, though.
Yeah,
Like,
do you-
what of the four main subjects would you choose? Math, science, history, or language? But also, what would be your supplemental subject?
Right.
Like a bachelor's degree in?
Yeah. And why? Obviously, don't just toss out math.
Yeah.
Please tell us why.
Like marine biology. Why? Defend yourself.
Dude, the ocean's so scary. Don't say that.
want
I would have
marine
dropped
biologist.
out. They'd have been like, everyone in the ocean would have been like, that's enough. I only needed 6th grade, so we good.
I love it. Oh man.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Anyway. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.